Hey everyone, welcome back to Mental Health for Creators, the place where we talk about how to stay mentally strong and creatively inspired without burning out. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on tips that help you create sustainably. Now, let me ask you something. Have you ever sat down to work on something and before you know it, hours have passed, but you still haven't made much progress? Or maybe you're on the opposite side, pushing yourself to work non-stop, only to feel exhausted and uninspired? Today, I want to introduce you to a technique that can change the way you work and boost your creativity: the Pomodoro technique. It's one of the simplest yet most powerful ways to get things done without draining your energy. So let's dive in and talk about how this method works, why it's so effective for creators, and how you can start using it today. Why creators struggle with focus and productivity. Before we get into the Pomodoro technique, let's talk about why staying focused is so hard, especially for creative people. Our brains aren't built to focus for hours at a time. In fact, studies show that most people can only concentrate deeply for about 25 to 50 minutes before their mind starts to wander. But what do we usually do? We sit for hours, staring at our screen, hoping that if we just push through, inspiration will magically appear. The truth is, the harder you force yourself to focus, the less effective your brain becomes. And for creative work, this is even worse. Creativity doesn't come from pushing harder. It comes from giving your brain the right balance of focus and rest. That's where the Pomodoro technique comes in. What is the Pomodoro technique? All right, so how does this work? The Pomodoro technique is a time management method that breaks work into short, focused intervals with built-in breaks. Here's how it goes. 1. Set a timer for 25 minutes. This is your focused work time. No distractions, no multitasking. Just deep, intentional work. 2. When the timer goes off, take a 5-minute break. Step away from your screen, stretch, grab a drink. Just let your brain rest. Repeat this cycle 4 times. Then take a longer break of 15 to 30 minutes. It sounds simple, right? But this small change can completely transform the way you work. Why does this work so well? Now you might be thinking, why does setting a timer make such a big difference? Well, there are a few psychological reasons behind it. First, it eliminates procrastination. When you tell yourself, I have to work for hours, your brain resists because it feels overwhelming. But 25 minutes? That feels doable. It tricks your brain into starting, which is often the hardest part. Second, it stops distractions from taking over. You know how easy it is to check your phone just for a second, and then suddenly 30 minutes are gone? With Pomodoro, you have a clear structure: work now, break later. So instead of constantly switching between work and distractions, you're training your brain to focus better. And finally, it prevents burnout. Instead of pushing yourself until you're exhausted, you're working in a way that respects your brain's natural rhythms. More focus, less fatigue. How to use Pomodoro for creative work. Now, some of you might be thinking, but creativity doesn't work on a timer? What if I'm in the zone? And you're absolutely right. Sometimes, when inspiration strikes, you don't want to stop. But most of the time, creative work is a process, not just a moment of inspiration. And that process requires structure to keep moving forward. Here's how you can adapt Pomodoro to fit your creative workflow. Use it for brainstorming. Set a 25-minute timer and generate as many ideas as you can. When the timer stops, take a break and let your brain process. Use it for editing or refining. If you're writing, designing, or editing videos, Pomodoro keeps you focused without getting stuck in perfectionism. Combine it with deep work sessions. If you feel like 25 minutes is too short, try 2 Pomodoros back-to-back, 50 minutes total, before taking a break. The goal isn't to force creativity, it's to give your brain structure so you can work without burning out. How to get started with Pomodoro. All right, so how do you start using this today? Simple. Grab a timer. You don't need any fancy apps. Just use your phone, a kitchen timer, or even a Pomodoro app if you prefer. Then, choose one task you want to work on. Set the timer for 25 minutes and work with full focus. When the timer rings, take a 5-minute break. Repeat this cycle and see how much more you get done. If you've been struggling with focus, procrastination, or just feeling mentally drained after long work sessions, this method can change everything. Final thoughts. Work smarter, not harder. At the end of the day, creativity isn't about working the longest hours. It's about working in a way that supports your brain. The Pomodoro technique helps you focus better, work with more energy, and prevent burnout. And the best part? It's so simple that you can start using it right now. So I challenge you, try Pomodoro for just one day and see how it feels. You might be surprised at how much more focused, productive, and creative you become. If this was helpful, let me know in the comments. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an episode of Mental Health for Creators. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.